product developer really sits at the beginning of the index life cycle. So if you think about an index as following a linear path from idea to tick by tick, being out in the world, available informationally for those observing a particular market, or a particular asset, or a particular investment strategy, as well as those that would actually use that index for the purposes of either replicating that benchmark in a financial product, or as a benchmark for the exchange of financial considerations through a derivative. The product development is the very beginning or the genesis of that life cycle. And so what we're really trying to do is to come up with the optimal methodology in partnership with our client most often to bring to life something that simply doesn't exist in the market today as a theoretical investment strategy. And so that's done in a very iterative fashion in terms of typically the back testing and the empirical testing that comes with it. But in essence, what we're trying to do is go from idea to live in practice index in a tick by tick manner. I think that it really comes back to that point of the iterative nature of the job. So these engagements or projects that we work on with our clients, those are often can span either weeks and sometimes even years, depending on the complexity and the macro conditions of the backdrop around the particular initiative. And a lot of that time was really spent in the laboratory, so to speak. So one analogy that's always stuck with me about index development is it's sort of like a wristwatch, an old analog mechanical wristwatch, not the new iPhone or iWatch kind of era. And so if you think about those old mechanical watches, there's lots of complexity under the hood, and you're going to tinker and try to refine to the best optimal performance what it is that you're looking to achieve within that watch. But once you close the lid, you're really setting it free at that point to do exactly what you said, for better or worse. And so I think about the index development day by day responsibility as really sitting under the lid, trying to make those optimal choices and looking at what different changes to the relative parameters, the rules, the methodology of an index might entail or result in once we do finally close that lid and set it on its way into production. I don't think there's really a typical path, but certainly I would say that increasingly the demands have become more technical in nature in terms of being able to develop models in a programmatic or automated algorithmic kind of way. And so being very comfortable with the technical side of things is certainly a prerequisite. And I think that we see a lot of folks coming into these types of roles from more financial engineering or mathematical backgrounds, but also those that have more of an economic or market-based kind of approach too. So there really is a plurality of paths that lead here. I just think that it has to ultimately be a confluence of technical ability and passion or interest for how markets work and how to bring investments to life in the context of market conditions. What we're really looking for is people who want to be passionate or who want to express their passion, I should say, for quantitative storytelling. So it's not just about being able to develop a model and deliver on requirements the way that a technologist might kind of think about their day-to-day. It's taking some of that skill set for sure, but then also marrying it up with the fact that the index investment landscape is massively crowded, that there's just tons of competition in this, what I really call the marketplace for ideas of what's the next great investment strategy that someone should be bringing to market or should be allocating capital towards. And so part of the responsibility in the product development capacity is to translate that work from the technical perspective of the model design, the back testing, all the numbers into a story that is concise, clear, and compelling. And so finding ways to visualize data and also to really empathize with the audience and understand what drives their decision-making and what do they want to hear or need to hear to ultimately elect to deploy capital towards that particular strategy or that investment vehicle related to the index that we've created. So I think that the career path really goes from those core tenets of doing the work, of building the index day to day, developing those models, developing the pitch or the story, the narrative that partners with that model, to something that's a little more higher order in terms of either client relationship management or thinking a bit more strategically about where we should be deploying resources on any given day. So, at this point in my career, I run a team that's quite global in nature and has people dedicated to the practice of building indexes day in, day out. I'm not in the trenches anymore myself, really, in terms of building new indexes, but rather trying to identify the opportunities or the gaps in the marketplace, connect dots from what I hear from one client in one part of the world to how we can help solve a problem for another client or bring an innovative idea to a new market. And so that's, I think, where being able to bring that breadth of experience and interest in markets and figure out how does a new index or the index wrapper generally stand to potentially solve a problem or benefit investors in new and exciting ways.